Mr. Mango is going to be a few minutes late also, as there is a meeting conflict, but she'll be joining us relatively soon. So in her space, I will support the beginning of our DLT meeting and call the meeting to order. Here is our agenda for the day, and then I'm going to post our minutes from our last session in August. So if everyone could take a few moments to review the minutes of our last session, that would be great. And then we will ask for a motion to approve and move on with our session today. I will have it on the screen and scroll down if you want to open it yourself. The links were sent to you via email, but I will have it on the screen to scroll down for you.
Dr. Mike?
Yes.
Just on the minutes with under my notes regarding Matthew Borgini, he's coming in October to discuss high school enrollment. And it says student enrollment. Just the only clarification to make on the minutes there.
Sounds good. Any other updates or amendments that need to be made to the minutes that anyone noticed? Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
No motions by consensus.
Oh, I'm sorry, consensus. Yeah, sorry.
Consensus.
Thank you. Consensus to approve the minutes. Thank you, Shirley. Yeah.
I have a thumbs up. I consent with the amendment.
Thank you, Shirley.
And here.
Go ahead, Francis. That was a hand up saying you're good. Perfect. Okay. We do have our agenda for today, which I will post up. I do want to welcome Jahara Burton, who is joining us today. Jahara, if you want to just give a quick little hello and maybe just kind of share who you are, that would be great.
How you doing? I'm Jahara Burton. I'm also president over at RFK 250. My son attends seventh grade there. Looking forward to this school year and all that. I'm excited.
Well, welcome, Jahara. We're super excited that you're joining us today and being part of our district leadership team. So thank you very much for being here. So super excited. And we also have, I know, I'm not sure if you were here last time, Marcia. So if you want to just kind of give a quick little wave hello so everyone knows who you are as well, that would be great.
Good morning, everyone. No, I had a conflict with another DLT, so I
Yes, of
wasn't
course.
there. But I am Marcia Bryson, council representative at DC 37.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Marcia. So for today and superintendent's report, I will be sharing a little bit about updates around the reading priority, the draft district goals. There was one that was created, several created last DLT. There was feedback given on one of them, so an adjustment was made. So we'll share them again with you guys for further review. We're going to do a quick review and update of DLT bylaws. So you guys will have an opportunity to review, see anything there that may need to be updated and amended. Give you guys an update on the listening and learning tour Superintendent Domingo has been going on. Lewis will be sharing out the directories with you guys via email so that you guys have access to all of our schools and all of their contact information as necessary. And then we'll have a quick conversation around planning for the school leadership team training, just kind of logistics of when the whens, the wheres type of thing. We'll go through that. I'm not sure that I see Mr. Zwillick on here yet, but he will also be talking about the overview of DLT responsibilities, activities for SLT, and suggested activities of the calendar. We'll have the high school superintendent's report, high school president's council report, and any new business thereafter. So just to move forward with the agenda and superintendent's remarks, let me open this up. Starting off strong, Danielle has shared this a couple of times during a few of her meetings. We did get off to a really great start in our schools. Super excited for this school year. We were fortunate. We did have our chancellor, deputy chancellors, and comptroller visit and spend some time with our students and staff. We did have a really great opening, as you can see from some of the images from our schools. So really excited about the start and where we're going to be going this school year. Just moving right into our goals. During our last session, we talked about two goals that we created for the district, and certainly would love your feedback on them, further feedback on them. First of which is around these cycles of professional learning that we're looking to promote and engage in during the school year. To focus on improving outcomes for our kids by a minimum of 5% this year, with the goal by 2026 that we have a minimum of 80% of our students performing on or above grade level by the time they reach grade 3. So these are certainly lofty goals. You know, there will be a moment where I've created a Padlet to get some feedback from all of you on your thoughts around these goals. So please take a moment to reflect on it. And then if you have anything that you'd like to add or contribute in terms of, you know, things that you would love to see in there that are not present, or things that are present that you're wondering about, feel free to add that feedback in moving forward. So as we shared during our last meeting, this is the context of how we want to go about improving upon reading in District 25, always starting with data through the context of inquiry. So equity visits is really about looking at students that are performing outside the sphere of success, and establishing a plan through MTSS and culturally responsive sustaining practices. So this is the context of the work that we want to engage in across grade levels from kindergarten through 8th grade. And in this format. So in K-3, we're really looking at the foundational literacy skills, focused on the 5 pillars of reading, programs such as Foundations and Hegarty, letters training, which I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update on in a moment, and then systems of MTSS across grade levels. You'll see that that's consistent across grade levels. Early childhood with a real focus on learning to read, and then as we go through the grade levels, about reading to learn. Grades 3 to 5, also 5 pillars of reading, systems of MTSS, and then we're piloting a program we're really excited about from NYU and Boston University called Clavis, specifically for our Ls. Grades 6 to 8 focus on close reading of complex text and systems and structures for MTSS. Now, to give you a little bit of an update as to where we are and what we're doing to support this, we've organized our schools into triads or quads. These triads or quads have been organized based on similar areas of need. So schools were able to share with us whether or not they really want to focus on their systems of MTSS, or if they're focusing on foundational literacy, or if close reading of complex text is an area of focus. And coupled with, schools that they felt like they would want to partner with, and we've organized these triads and quads so that we can provide targeted supports. Now, the really great part about this is that it's not only a collaboration where we've assigned point people from the district, but the goal is, as the year goes on, that our schools will have an opportunity to visit one another and really engage in an inquiry study around how we improving practices and outcomes for our kids. So super excited about this work. And it's taking the form similar to what Superintendent Domingo has done with the listening and learning tours, as she's engaging in visits across our district. So too are our instructional leads, where they're assigned to a quad or a triad, and they're visiting our schools. Using these, I'm sorry, it's moving pretty quickly. Sorry about that. Using these common questions. So, what does the culture of reading look like in your building? What worked really well in your community for your students, and how do you know? What structures are in place for MTSS? When does Tier 2 take place? What systems do you have in place for data collection, i.e. progress monitoring? So these are common set of questions that our team will be going in as part of their listening and learning tour, so that they get a really clear understanding of what practice looks like across our schools, followed by classroom visits. Classroom visits focused on components of reading, what explicit instruction looks like, what does engagement and participation look like, the curriculum and materials used via text and task, assessment, and closing. So those are the elements of practice that our team will be going in, again, through a thoughtful lens of listening to what's happening and learning from what's happening in our schools, so we can make our professional development that much more targeted. In addition, we also have, we're really excited that currently we have 360 of our building leaders and teachers that will be engaging in letters training. Letters training is basically the science of reading, where our teachers and staff really get to learn how the brain works when we are reading. The goal of it is that we are really hopefully becoming experts as readers and instructors of reading across our school and district-wide across our schools. So it's a super exciting time for us as we begin to learn. And as you know, Superintendent Domingo's vision is around all of us consistently learning, whether it is you're an administrator, teacher, staff member. The goal is that we maintain this idea of improving reading across our district. So I have here, there is a link, and let me just put this in the chat so that you all have it handy. So I just put in the chat the Google Doc for this presentation, and in there is a link to a Padlet, which I will open up. And this is space for us just to kind of note, and well, I'm going to use the same one for our bylaw review, just to note any feedback that you want to provide for our ELA goal, questions that maybe you have. It's a nice space for us just to kind of keep a running dialogue of what we're doing within the context of our goals. So when we get through with each of the math and the chronic absenteeism, I'm going to ask for you guys to pop into the Padlet if you're okay with that, and share any of your thoughts about our ELA math and chronic absenteeism goal at this time. So it brings us to our math goal. Math goal is pretty consistent with where we were during our last one, and we've added an additional one based on feedback that came from you guys as a DLT. So the question that was raised during our last DLT is, how are you attending to the preparation needed for students to have access to and success in Regents level coursework? So our original goal was really around building the conceptual understanding of our kids through rigorous tasks and productive struggle, so that we grew by about 5% overall, on the New York State mathematics assessment and or iReady. But we also thought it being important, based on that feedback, that we create another goal that's connected to MTSS and the Algebra 1 coursework that our kids are taking in the 8th grade. So by June 2023, school leaders and staff will create systems and structures for MTSS so that Algebra 1 coursework is accessible to all learners, resulting in a minimum of 5% increase in children performing at a level 3 or 4 on the New York State Regents exam. So I'm just going to pause for a moment, see if you guys have any thoughts or feedback on that you want to come together on. Any comments? Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
No, I think it's a great. I liked what you added on. I thought that was very important, and it's kind of will bring about real answers. I mean, real results. I think that you could probably analyze better after implementing that goal. My opinion.
Thanks, Joe. And that actually came from feedback that you had shared, I think, during the last session, just around accessibilities. And it's not that we're just getting more kids to take it, but it's only how not only that we're having more children be assessed by the Regents, but that they're also performing well because of it. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you want to see them succeed as well, and you want to see that it spills over into high school.
Perfect. Any other comments on that before we move into the chronic absenteeism goal? Thanks, Joe. Okay. The chronic absenteeism goal, we did review this data last time. So we're gonna move past this particular part rather quickly, but it does show that our rates were much higher than they have been in the past in terms of chronic absenteeism. And it is an area that we do need to attend to. So based on the data that from what our targets were based on previous year's ESSA requirements, the middle column shows what 2022-23 targets would have been. And on the right side, it's what the current 2022 data stated. This does include our kindergarten, so the numbers are higher, but we also talked about the importance of us starting the work as early as we can to make sure that our children consistently in school. Even children absent 2 days a month would be a student that would be identified as being chronically absent. So we've gone over this consistently over the past several years, and it still needs to be a focus of ours. The goal was that 50%, that we would see a 50% reduction in chronic absenteeism rates across subgroups this year. So our case teams are aware that this will be a focus. We will consistently provide feedback and data to our schools so that we are constantly looking at and supporting families that need that support in getting their children to school on a day-to-day basis. So if you guys wouldn't mind, then I'm just going to come off of share just for a moment. Oops, and I have to add one more. And the SEL goal, love to have your feedback on this. We have not crafted one. We do know that we have some ideas around where we would like to go, but would love your feedback around social emotional learning goal for our schools across the district. Things that you feel would be important for us to be mindful of and recognize in our work as we're moving forward. So across each of these goals with reading, math, and ELA, there is a space for us to add in our feedback. So I'm going to ask if we can just take the next 5 minutes just to reflect and add some of your comments into the Padlet. That would be much appreciated, so that we can have information for us all to review in this space. I'm going to put the Padlet tool into the chat. And if you wouldn't mind popping in there just to give a little bit of feedback on your thoughts. Are we in the right space? Are we on target with these goals? Do you feel like there's something else that we should consider? Any of that, if you can just add a little bit of your commentary in there over the next 5 minutes, that would be great, and we'll come back together and move on. And if you're having trouble getting into the Padlet, feel free to add it into the chat. Yeah, thank you for that comment. I see one comment that just came in for chronic absenteeism. Thank you for that. Let's take up three more minutes or so for any other comments to come in.
My device is very limited, so I can't do much.
Okay, Marcia,
I'm
if you
used,
see,
yeah,
if
but
there's
I'm
any,
good. I'm good. But
okay,
everything that I've seen so far.
thank you, Marcia. And feel free if anyone else wants to come off mute and share your thoughts rather than putting it in the Padlet or in the chat, that works great too. Yeah, thank you for the feedback on the SEL components. Okay, guys, just one more minute. We'll come back together. If anyone else has anything to add, please feel free. Okay. So just a couple of things that were noted, and you guys should be able to see my screen with the information from the Padlet. Just the chronic absenteeism, that yes, it has been around for a while, and I do agree that part of the action plan, that outreach definitely around how we're connecting with our families needs to be really tight and supportive. As children are absent for lots of different reasons, so we need to be mindful of what those circumstances may be, so that we can offer the best support possible. So I think that's really important comment. Same with ensuring families are aware of what the supports and what social emotional learning really is. I think that's super important, and the idea of connecting with kids, obviously, is our best space to make sure that we're meeting their needs. So, I will definitely work towards organizing something for you guys to look at and provide feedback on the next time with Superintendent Domingo. But it seems like we are in a good space with ELA and math based on the current commentary. If there's more, certainly feel free to add any of that feedback so that we can, make any necessary adjustments to those goals moving forward. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, good. More stuff is coming in. So focus on subgroups within the goal. I think that's great feedback. Yeah, and I think the first part around MTSS and math is definitely super important. The strategies and skills that we are implementing to support our students, not only in early childhood, but as they go through the grade levels. I talk about Emily and Matthew often, and it's not just about knowing steps, and for them, they tend to learn things via procedural, based on what I've seen over the years. And the issue with procedural learning in mathematics is once if you miss something, it's very difficult for them to come to a solution that makes sense. So it's really about how do we build the conceptual understanding of our kids through the types of tasks that we offer them. So and the strategies for when children are struggling, obviously. So thank you for that. I think it's something we definitely need to think more of when we're going through our action planning. Okay. Any other comments about the goals before we move on? I see someone's in.
I was trying to
Yeah.
I was trying to type in the chat, but for ELA and math regions, those students who takes the regions or living environment, not necessarily even ELA, but the math like algebra can
Yep.
follow up with those students when they get into high school. And
Say more about that, Shirley.
Oh
Can you
yeah,
say?
so to follow up with them, those who took those regencies in 8th grade, to follow up with them in high school, or the families, and see what improvement needs to be made in the middle school, or how was helpful, or continual best practices.
So almost like how are we tracking our middle schoolers as they move on into high school kind of
See,
thing,
yeah,
Shirley?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, huh? Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just adding it to the Padlet. How are we tracking outcomes for our middle school students as they move into high school? Okay. Yeah, it's a really important question. You know, it's a really becomes around transfer, right? How have they transferred the skills from middle school so that they're successful in high school? I think that's a really important question. And I think for us, it becomes how do we manage the information because our kids are going all over the place, um, all across the city. So it's making sure that our tools and our data system is tight enough to manage that throughout the years. But I love that suggestion. That's great. Any other pieces of feedback? Okay. Thank you so much. I will make sure that this is certainly shared with Superintendent Domingo, and we will go over it and make adjustments as we did from last session to this session to ensure that our goals are aligned and organized. I know Mr. Zwillig joined. I don't know that they've created a new template yet for the DCEP, but as soon as they do, we'll organize it inside of that template so that you guys all have access. Okay. Our next space is the DLT bylaws. I'm hoping that you guys had an opportunity to review them. Superintendent Domingo did share it in her last memo out to you guys. I will post it up. Oh, I did have it open somewhere. Let me reopen it. I did post it up for I will post it up for all of you guys to review now, but we do need to review our bylaws as a team to ensure that they say what we want them to say as a collective team, coming to consensus on that. So I will post it here. We'll just give the next 5 minutes or so, 5 to 7 minutes or so, just to review each of the articles of our bylaws. If there are things here that need to be amended or updated, this is the time for us to do that now. So I do have it on the screen. If everyone could, if you're more comfortable reviewing it on my shared screen or opening it on your own is totally fine. I will scroll down every couple of moments just so that you can see everything that's within our bylaws. Hey, Lamar, welcome.
Morning, everybody. How you doing? I'm in between schools, so I'm bouncing around, but I'll get on camera and stuff. I'm heading to the next building in a minute.
Okay, Lamar.
Good to see you, everybody.
Same here. Okay. So I hope you guys had enough time to review the current bylaws that were last edited and revised as of November of 18. So these are bylaws that certainly need to be reviewed again. I saw there was a question in the chat around video conferencing, and then Shirley replied around that DLT is not subject to open meetings law. But any other comments around feedback in terms of amendments to the bylaws? And if you share them out, I will be happy to type them in just so that we can keep an anecdotal of the things that you feel that need to be amended. And Superintendent Domingo, when she comes on, typically leads the section 4 of this process around chairperson, just opening up. She does plan on joining us so that she can do that with you guys. So when she joins, she'll go over the chairperson selection when she hops on. Any amendments necessary? Okay, we have consensus on the bylaws? Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Joe. Okay. Anyone else? We're good?
Good.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, and as I said, when Superintendent Domingo joins, she will share, just go through the chairperson. She wanted to be on that to go over with you guys, as she typically does each year. The next item on the agenda is just around the listening and learning tour. Superintendent Domingo has done a number of these already, and not to speak for Danielle, but just from my own perspective, I think they've been going really, really well. It's given an opportunity for families across our communities to really connect, share their thoughts around what's happening in the district, and along with that, sharing some questions that they have. Just in general questions for them that support them as a parent. So having been able to sit on each of the tours that Superintendent Domingo has gone on, they've been rather productive thus far. She has several more scheduled for this week. And the really great part about this is that it's across constituencies, really looking to gather feedback from across our staff, from our parents to teachers, our paras, our D37 representation. So the goal is to really get feedback from across our district community, so that we can make our schools as best as possible for our kids and for you guys in our community. So they've been going rather well. Louis just put into the chat the event flyer for everyone to have access to, so you can see where it is that Superintendent Domingo will be visiting in the near future. She has a couple of in-person visits that she'll be doing this week, one at 165 and the other at PS 29. So we're super excited about that, creating space for these venues to be held both virtually and in person, in giving our families multiple different ways to connect, with her and with our district team. So super excited about that. They've been going really, really well. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the listening and learning tour?
I don't know if this is appropriate, but DC 37 will be meeting with all superintendents. So the administration of DC 37 is planning to meet with all superintendents. And I know there is Superintendent 2, I believe, will have a walk and talk coming up soon, which we will be joining on that.
That's great. Thank you so much for that, Marcia. Yeah, and Superintendent Domingo welcomes, all of these types of connections as well. So thank you so much for that. Any other comments? Okay. Thank you, guys. And the last thing that I do want to mention is the SLT training. Feedback from you guys around the when would be great if we can get some of your thoughts. Typically, it's kind of ranged. We've done them in January. We've done it in March, to my recollection in the past. But any feedback that you guys have around the when we should organize that SLT training would be great. So any of you have any feedback on or thoughts around when we should get this going? I think it's important that certainly the sooner works best, to make sure that our SLTs are in the right space for organization, making sure that any of our new SLT members are fully aware of what the expectations are within the SLT, and things that they really should be mindful of as they support their schools with their goals and action plans moving forward. So any thoughts, guys, around the when for organizing the SLT training?
Dr. D'Antona, I do know that superintendent wanted to have a combination with the high schools and the elementary school. So I did reach out to John Bown High School, and they are willing to work with Community Soup so that becomes a reality. So, once we have a few dates here, I can also pitch that over to John Bown and see what Dr. Ionelli, what dates she would have in mind.
That's great. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Any comments around the when we would want to kind of offer this opportunity for our school leadership teams across the district?
October, if possible.
Yeah, I would agree sooner than later, because they are already starting. SLTs should be getting in order, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there very well may be just some schools with election processes for their SLT if they have vacant positions, but certainly earlier in the year would be great for for our buildings to get to get their SLTs in order for the start of the school year. So we have in October. So October or November, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay, so, and typically we've done it aligned with the same date as the DLT meeting, from what I can recall. Anyone want to correct me on that? I think that's how we tried to do it in the past. I think we've organized them around the DLT, right, Joe?
I agree. I think it was typically done on a DLT. And the last time we did it remotely, and it was recorded, so I think it may have been different.
Okay.
But if we did it in person, we usually did it on a DLT meeting date.
On a DLT meeting date, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would mean that the next two dates we would have, our next DLT is October 17th. So we're looking at either October 17th or November 14th would be the two dates that we would have upcoming for DLT, which we could try to organize the SLT training for then. Does that sound good to everyone? That we aim for those 2 dates and try to organize it with John Bound High School?
Do you think the SLT elections will be over by October 17th?
They should be. They
Okay.
should be. I mean, November probably sounds like a better date, I'm thinking. Just to make sure that everyone's in good working order. Any other feedback?
Yeah, most of the SLT should have done in the spring. If there's a holdup for the school leadership team, it's because PTA presidents aren't in place, and they
Right.
have until October 31st
Yeah.
to have expedited elections, so they'll
So
be in compliance. So probably November is the better date.
November. Yeah. Any other comments or feedback? The teams to be whole, if they're going to be engaging in the training, having them whole probably makes the most sense, so that we get as many folks trained as possible at the beginning, at the onset, rather than doing a training and missing several people that maybe haven't gone through the election process for the PTA.
Now, would this be during the day, during the same time as DLT, or would it be in the evening?
So
'Cause
most of the SLT trainings, Bill, have happened during the day.
okay,
The one time that we had done it in one of the high schools was, I believe, was at, I think we did it at Townsend Harris. I think it might have been
okay,
Townsend Harris,
yeah, that's
and it was during the school day. The auditorium was left available for us, and that's where we held the SLT training for the parents and staff of the
got it.
SLT.
Yeah, because I think at John Bound, I informed them that it would be in the evening, so I would have to check again to see if it's okay during the day. I can't imagine that they would say no, but
Okay. Yeah,
just let me check back.
if you can do that, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. And tentatively November 14th.
Yeah, so we'll put everyone,
Got it.
we're in consensus with that. That sounds good. We'll put tentative November 14th for the interim. Then we'll look to make sure that we have that we're in a good space with John Bound, and if that doesn't work for some reason, then we'll have to come back together to reorganize around date and location. But it should be fine.
I'm just thinking, would it be easier to have it in the evening? Would you get more attendance by the SLTs if they come in the evening?
You know what, Joe? I don't know. I mean, we've always had a pretty good turnout during the SLT trainings when we've done them during the day, particularly from our families. But and I think it offers the opportunity to for all of us to certainly be offered in multiple ways with the technology now. It does create that space. I don't know. That's another conversation that can certainly be had. Whether or not, even though we're having it in person, whether or not we make it accessible to those in a virtual way. I don't know if that's something we want to do too. I don't know. But they've always been very well attended. I have to think, maybe we've done it in the after school too a couple of times also. So, I mean, I'm just thinking at 209, we've had it at 209 a number of times. And I think maybe we've done it after school too. For that, I remember staff and kids not being around when we were in the building, so we must have done it in the, in the after school time frame also.
We did it at Townsend Harris during the day. I remember that too.
Yeah, that I know we did during the day, but I feel like we've done it at 209 a bunch of times too, where it may have been after school. I'm not,
Yeah, Mike, I remember at 209 once, right before COVID, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. So 209 was the place as well, yeah.
And we did it after school tomorrow, or we did it during the day?
I remember it being after school, I want to say around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So any feedback on that, whether during the day or after school? We can work that out with John Bound.
I think if parents the parent part, the community and the parents, if they know in advance, and the staff members as well. I think if they know in advance, I think after school would be feasible again.
Okay.
Reasonable. I mean, we're in September now, so that's 6 weeks ahead. I feel 2 months ahead, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's ample notice.
Okay. All right, so we'll touch base with John Bound. We'll see what the accessibility is, and then we'll come back and report back to you guys during the next DLT, and certainly share ahead of time so that everyone is aware if the dates and times work for everyone. Okay. Let me go back to our agenda. Mr. Zwillik, are you here? I think I saw you pop on. All right, Mr. Zwillik is here. He's going to go over a few items as well. So Matt, I'm going to turn this over to you for your portion of our DLT meeting.
Is my camera working?
Yes, you are camera ready.
I never trust the computer here at QPN. Thanks for dealing with my little bit of a tight schedule. So sorry I was late, everybody. But as I saw when I came in, you're already taking care of a lot of my agenda items, bylaws, goals. I mean, what else can I say except, of course, District 25 is pushing ahead well in advance of deadlines as always. The only thing that I would like to really go over again is that the information that we have is public. It is all in the iPlan public resources. I'm going to throw that in the chat right now. In there, you will find the suggested SLT activities, suggested DLT activities, the latest updated 8655, and as more information is released, we all put it on there. I know I covered a lot of this a couple weeks ago in the August meeting, so I'd like to give a little bit of time if there's any questions for me, because I know we were really tight, so I made sure that I made everything fit in that time frame. So being that we have this more information, the same information, if there's any questions or extensions that need to be cleared up, I'm here. Shirley, nothing, Shirley. Which, by the way, I know. Listen, there's a lot of us that share a lot of different things, but yesterday, the first time since '09 that all 4 New York teams won. Come on now.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. Awesome.
Oh my goodness. Any questions for Mr. Zwillik?
Gus is
I'm gonna ask a question. Sorry, Matt, I have to. I'm just
go ahead.
gonna. Is it if we need to add members on the for the iPlan portal, do we still have to go through you or Gus or?
So that's a great question. So we have on our side fixed the issue. The issue is now remaining that DOE members using DOE email addresses, the emails are being blocked by DIIT by their raising the bar, raising their security protocols. We seem to think that it's blocking emails with links. So until we get the connection made to that, either we're switching the way we provision, or we're going to have another meeting with DIIT and get that all fixed. The best thing to do would be have the principal email iPlan at schools, and we will make sure of that. But we are finding that some people already have access. So Shirley, this is a great question, but they just haven't used it in a while. And the best thing to do would be to have the principal go into the manage my teams in iPlan and just make sure that the person doesn't have access already, because then it's just usually a password reset. But it is a daily question that comes up all the time, and understandably, DIIT increased their security protocols with what we've gone through in the past couple of years, but we didn't understand why our stuff was getting blocked, so we finally took a really deep dive, and it's because there's links in the email. So we're working towards a better resolution. Great question.
So short term, Matt is really just connecting with their principals for provision access, and that to me is more of a DOE staff member issue than it is a parent issue. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That is correct. Any parents, as long as the email is typed in, the email does go out, and they just click the link to create their password, and they are in. It also does work with for those schools that do have their own email system, like a Gmail based one. It does go through. So it's just the at schools.nyc.gov.
Cool. And Matt, has there been any word on any new template coming out? I know that there was talks that they were working on one, correct?
We are working towards the DCP. It is it's getting there. Once we have finalized information, either myself or Gus, depending on scheduling, will be bringing it to you guys as the DLT needs that as soon as they can, because you guys have got great information, great pushing for students to succeed, and we need to get it in the DCP.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Mr. Zwillik. Okay.
Anytime.
High school superintendent report.
Yeah, let me just share.
Thanks, Bill.
Tell me when you can see the slide deck.
The slide deck is up.
All right, great. All right, so I want to welcome everyone to a new year. We have a new superintendent, Dr. Watu. The next visual is showing all of our different schools. Does everyone see that? Okay, great. Because just so you know, I'm not seeing it on my end.
Yeah,
so
Bill, we just see the initial page in the presentation. You didn't bring us to the schools yet. You're still on the first page.
Oh, you see it now?
Yeah, now it's up there. Yep.
Got it. All right, so these are all of our schools. We have a couple changes in leadership. For Bard High School, we have Dr. Himson. For Applied Communication, we have Mr. Daniel Shin. For Queens Technology, we have Mr. Luis Garcia. For Baccalaureate, we have Dr. Page. For our new high school, Gotham Tech, we have Miss Gill. And lastly, for William Cullen Bryant, we have Miss St. Aubin. I'm going to move on to the next slide. So this is showing how we, in a collaborative way, reviewed our district mission and vision. These were the draft versions. Later, I will show you the final version. So I'm going to just go ahead and move forward just to show that we did a similar session where the superintendent's team came together. We looked at hard data as well as soft data, street data, moving about the communities and developing these goals. And again, these were based on the soft data and the hard data. A big piece of what we're doing this year is trying to make more outreach to family members through the districts, and also to have a stronger connection with the community schools and the high school team. So part of this, you're going to see, we're starting the school year by really listening to what parents are concerned with, listening, keeping our ear to the ground to parent coordinators as well as teachers. And then we're following that up with family support coordinators. And on our team, we have Eduardo Duarte as well as David Swift. And then ultimately to the superintendent's team, which includes Mr. Stifler, Lynn Gibson, Deputy Soup, and the current Soup. To give you an idea of the complexity and how busy this schedule is, Dr. Tu oftentimes is seeing sometimes 2 schools in a day. These are some of those samples of the schools that she's seeing and some of those walking tours. And as you can see here, it says after join her for a brief discussion on what's working and what can we do better. So the idea, just like we say in Kaizen, right, continuous improvement, we're always trying to improve our district schools and our partnerships. With that, we're also including superintendent's advisories. So the advisories will be included on these dates, and they'll be held from 4:30 to 6 p.m. And they'll be here at Linden Place, 3048 in Flushing on the 4th floor. This is also a back to school town halls. These are additional dates for those town halls. So December, March, and June. The superintendent's advisory dates also included the QR code. So we're trying to be more technologically savvy so that we know that parents can join. They could probably also join remotely for that. And the last piece here I'm just bringing up is some of our student-led initiatives, right? Part of bringing parents on board, we're also trying to have more student-led initiatives and give them more opportunities. So part of that is a district logo, motto, and color contest held by Mr. David Swift. We're also going to have a student intern program with Sharif Rucker and Jordan Barnett. We'll have a student survey from David Swift. And last is the new school bus advocacy team, and that will be spearheaded by Sharmila Barat. Now I'm going to take us to another slide deck. This is more geared towards just the high schools in D25. And you know those high schools, John Bown, World Journalism Prep, Veritas, Flushing, Townsend Harris, and RFK. So first I'm going to start by going over the finalized version of our theory of action, our mission, and our vision. So the theory of action, if we support school leaders using research-based methods grounded in literacy, attendance protocols, college and career readiness that provide them with multiple opportunities for authentic, intentional, and collaborative learning experiences, then our school leaders can provide learning environments that foster student advocacy and continuous school improvement. The mission will ensure that all students will be change agents locally, globally, by cultivating authentic learning experiences with all stakeholders to build their capacity through collaborative community collaborations and partnerships. And lastly, the vision. We aspire to foster a respectful, welcoming environment that encourages all to be advocates, to have a sense of belonging, to be innovative thinkers, and become problem solvers. Our goals for the 21 or 22-23 year. We will develop systems and structures for programming 11th and 12th grade English language learners and students with disabilities to ensure an increase in their enrollment and their earning of credits in College Now and advanced placement courses to 3% as measured by the Insight Beta data. By 2023, we will build the capacity of high school-based student services teams in offering college and career readiness opportunities to increase the number of female students earning endorsed diplomas in CTE, Civic Seals, and the New York State Seal of Biliteracy by 3%, as measured by the graduation rate in ETS. And by June 2023, we will accelerate core literacy instruction across all content areas and grade levels through the implementation of standard assessed explicit instruction to ensure an increase in content area region scores for students with disabilities to 3% as measured by New York State. And lastly, strengthen the attendance protocols across all schools through leveraging school support and attendance to ensure a decrease in chronic absenteeism among all students by 2% as measured by Power BI. Specifically for two of our schools. First, I'm going to talk about John Bown. John Bown and Long Island City have a rich collaborative partnership. It's called Farm to Table, where they produce, right? John Bown is known for their Aggies. They have a huge farm on the actual site. And what they're going to do is they're going to provide the food to Long Island City. And Long Island City, they have a program where the kids are learning culinary skills. They're going to use that food and make wonderful, wonderful meals out of it. The last weekend, it will be at the Queens County Fair. The Aggies from John Bown took home numerous awards in the areas of vegetable, fruit, floral arrangement, and annual flower competitions. So they had first place, 10 students, second place, 19 students, third place, 9 students, and 9 students for honorable mention. So they're doing a really great job.
Nice.
So go John Bown. And I do want to give additional support and accolades to Veritas Academy. So if you see the girl in the upper left-hand corner, there's an image, And it's basically what the school does is that all the students have to come to an agreement that this is what they're going to be working on. This is their overall goal for the year. And it's a little hard to see, but it basically is saying that there's going to be supreme achievements at the school. And at the end of the first 2 days of the activities at the beginning of the school year, all the students sign this. So it's a way to kind of close the circle by the students understanding what they're going to be learning, agreeing to it, and committing to this as a belief as they go through their high school years. So here you'll notice that one of the things that Principal Vanderwalker is stating is that he's given lots of swag and additional gifts to the kids. They had 2 different dates for the beginning of school. For the students, they provided them with Veritas lanyards and ID holders. They gave them pop sockets, which are the little pieces that go on the back of the phone. So they're really trying to make every effort to bring kids in and to really make them engaged. The second paragraph, the launch of the school year was expanded from last year based on the positive feedback from students and families, and that was part of the community-based co-constructed plans. And you'll hear a lot of that. Co-constructed, a lot of collaborative pieces happening across D25, including the D25 high schools. And lastly, we're really proud of this growing tradition, and we hope that it's a good example for the DLT to share on Monday. And I think it is a great example to share. And that rounds out the high school report for D25. Turn it back over to Dr. D'Antona.
I'm going to take over. Hi, guys.
Oh.
Sorry I'm late.
Thank you, though, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. And Bill, I know that you had sent me an email about which school? Townsend Harris. Did they say they agreed to? Well, you're muted. Or John Baum?
John Bound would like to be part of it.
Perfect. So you wanted to set up just an organization planning meeting with that
Yeah,
principal?
just so that she's aware. Let me know when you have time. I mean, I could also run it through Dr. D'Antona. You let me know what your preference is.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go by when she's available. We could
Okay.
always rearrange because it wouldn't take so much, that much time, but we'll talk about, putting that together and just say, let her know that we are thankful because we would love to have the meetings at her school. And then my office will set up the live streaming, right?
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily be hybrid, it would be live streaming, and we could make time for people to be able to ask us questions following the live stream. So we'll do all that from our end.
Excellent. So
All right.
I'll send an email to try to set that up.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I was late there. I know Dr. D'Antona had told you there's just 2 dates that coincide this year with our CSA union, the principal assistant principal union, as well as DLT. So thank you for allowing me to be a little bit late. And Teresa Mishar is now here as well. So hello, Teresa. Dr. D'Antona has told me that we do have a new representative here today. Yes, Jahara, welcome. I'm happy to have you today. Happy to have you, Ms. Burton. Good to see you. And I see, Francis, you're still here as well. I just want to remind the team and everyone else that tonight is President's Council meeting, our first President's Council meeting for the year. So we're really excited about that. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone tonight. And so I want to thank Dr. D'Antona for going over the goals and allowing all of you opportunities to give feedback. I do want to let you know that this year, unlike any other, Dr. D'Antona and I are really, really asking you what you think, because we want to make sure that we're doing the right things for our schools, for our students, and for our families as we're emerging from this pandemic. So we're really struggling, and I don't know if Mike, did you talk about this with our social emotional goal? Like, we want it to be right. So we're asking parents and teachers and administrators and DC 37 members, like, is what we're saying that we're going to be focusing on right? Because we do know that there are a lot of struggles of students coming back to school. There are a lot, especially for our younger learners and for our middle schoolers, and And maybe if you're seeing this in high school too, like our middle schoolers who were through the pandemic as they were entering middle school. You know, my daughter, I say she worked at a camp and she was just so shocked at some of the kindergarten and first graders. She was like, they don't know how to share. They don't know what's fair. All of these things you don't realize, but you learn from being around your peers and your colleagues. So, so we have a lot of work to do to support our students, and I just want to make sure that we're doing it in the right way. So when we're really asking for feedback, this is not, you know, where Mike and I would say like, oh, here's where our ELA data is, here's where our math data is, and you know, what do you guys think? You know, we really want to make sure that we're doing that right. So Mike, you gave them a way to provide feedback. I know you had a Padlet going. Yep. Okay, so yeah. So I know sometimes you know, just make sure that you're really telling us what you think from your constituent perspective, because I think it's really important. Yep, great. Thank you so much, Dr. D'Antona. So the other thing that I think is really important that I never realized, and I don't know if a former member knows something that I spent a lot of time looking for, but it appears that the last time our DLT bylaws were revised was in 2018. Does anybody have anything different? Because we could not find anything. So I'm thinking we did it maybe. No, right? We did. I know we did the 100.11 plan, but we never did a bylaw revision. So one of the things that I'm going to ask of us is if we can engage in this process together. You did? Did you make any changes? No changes? Everybody's good? Okay, so then the next piece of that is there's just a couple things I want to tweak on it. I want to take off some of the yellow statements, make sure that everything is there, and then I'm going to set up a DocuSign for all of us to sign our names, and I'm going to change everyone's name on the signature page so that we have it, and it should be good for the next 2 years. But our September meeting is always the date where we pick a chairperson. So currently, I am the chairperson, but I do not have to be. So if there is anyone who would like to be chairperson or co-chairperson, I am happy to give away my chairperson seat. And you would work directly with my administrative assistant and Lewis to make sure the minutes are in place, the agenda's in place. You'll reach out to everyone else on the team to just make sure that the meeting is flowing. You would be running the meetings. So if there is anyone who is on the mandatory members team that would like to take part in the chairperson position, I would be happy to work with you and alongside you in that work.
Will it make your life easier if you get a co or not?
No, I mean, I'm happy to do it. So. It actually, oh, see, that's why I love you, Shirley. You know, like you're trying to help. I love that. But you're like, listen, it doesn't. And, you know, I really like doing it. It reminds me, you know, as I go through the minutes of the things that I have to have prepared. But I do want to offer it to members if anybody's interested in doing it. Okay, so are we, do we have consensus that I will continue to be the chairperson and I will serve for a period of 1 year? Consensus? Yes. Thumbs up. Yes. Marcia was really quick to give that away. Yes. Marcia was like, yeah, we have consensus, Danielle. Thank you. All right. Just also very quickly, listening and learning tour is going great. Lewis actually did you know, where you're hearing about the new DOE push messaging system. We've been using that and working with that. So I don't know if Joe, Francis, and Jahara, did you guys receive a push notification from us about my meeting on Friday?
I didn't get it.
It would have been an email, and the subject said a message from District 25.
Hold on, I'm going to check my email.
I'm looking right now.
Okay.
And it was last week, probably on Wednesday, maybe Thursday.
September
Are we
20th.
talking about the one that you just did on, I think it was Friday?
Yes.
I had
Yes,
gotten an email,
you got that?
And
Okay.
the email was in English, Spanish, and Chinese.
Yes, the one, yeah, message from District 25.
You got it too,
a
Joe?
Zoom-
I got
a
it, yes.
Zoom today. No.
Okay. Yeah, no, great. That's the new citywide push notification. We're able from the district office. We have to do it unfortunately 35 times, but we're able to send every school a push
I went
notification.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
and what it really did do was it increased the number of families that participated in Friday night's town hall event. And I got to tell you, I'm really enjoying the conversation. We get to talk about what we're focused on, our strong roots theme, our focus on reading and ways that parents can have those expectations for their schools, and can contribute to the learning and the work that we're doing to support, building deeper, better readers across the district. And then I have an opportunity to really hear from families and answer their questions that they have. I like that I'm doing it in September, because parents have a lot of questions now. Louis, could you mute yourself because I'm getting an echo from you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Parents have a lot of questions now. I know some of my colleagues started it in August, but I'm happy to do it now because now that school started, there's just a lot of questions as we emerge from the pandemic. So my next one is, well, tonight I'm going to speak a little bit about it at President's Council, because I think it's important to hear from our parent leaders really about what we're doing well and what are some of the things that we need to work together to elevate. And then to hear from parents around, from a parent perspective, what's some advice that you have for me? And tomorrow is my first live one at PS 165. So I'm really excited for that, to just have opportunity for parents and community members to come in and meet with me and just ask these questions. So I'm really, happy that the chancellor asked us to do this work because it's giving me a lot of deeper connections with our local elected officials, with our community members. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is a walking tour with some of our students. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk around to some local community organizations that students frequent in the morning and in the afternoon. Such as Dunkin' Donuts in certain areas and certain delis. I'll be buying them breakfast, and we'll be talking about lateness to school and how we can work together to make sure that anything that students need, that they're stopping in the store, the people that are working there know what time school starts and that they're kind of moving the kids along to make sure that everyone's to school on time. So I'm really excited to do that too. It's a different perspective of what's happening across our district. So once I start to do those walking tours, if anybody wants to come with me, I will let you guys know when that will be, but I will definitely be with students during that time. Okay, I think for me, that's all I had to do was to update the bylaws. Yep. Mike, you did everything else? Yep. Okay. And then the next on our agenda is High School President's Council. So Shirley, you have a report for us?
Yes. So I'm going to start with the Citywide High School Subcommittee. Usually it's from September to May. So the first one is tomorrow, actually. Usually it's the fourth Tuesday of the month, but next week is Rosh Hashanah. So it's tomorrow at 4 p.m. And we have a new superintendent that's overseeing the Citywide High School Subcommittee. It's the Access Superintendent, the Citywide Superintendent, Dr. Alan Chang. He has the Custodium International Outbound Schools. He is going to be the superintendent for that now. Jessica Long, who's part of his administration, will be facilitating those meetings. On August 8th, I think I gave this update already, but we have two new superintendents. Obviously, we have Dr. Two and Dr. Van S for Queens South. So Queens High School President's Council had a meeting with them, with membership, so that they could introduce and hear our concerns, part of their listening and learning tour. On August 18th, As you see, that bill show all the next set of community walks and talks. So on the 18th of August was Francis Lewis, and Danielle and Lewis came to the school to show, to continue that partnership between middle school and high schools, to speak to the students, because that community walk and talk was student led. And the point that I had brought up earlier, to ask about, what you're learning in middle schools and those regencies, did it help when you come into Francis Lewis? Because a few of your schools in this district, right, 3 of them, I think, is zoned for Francis Lewis High School. So it was really good. We walked around the community, and we showed the superintendent our relationship with the communities and businesses in the area. So that's going to happen throughout all her schools, Dr. Tu. For example, like we have a hotel there. Our students have a internship on hospitality and hotel management. There's other, commercial establishments. The school creates partnership within the community, and sometimes we forget what happens in the school building affects the community, and what affects the community affects the school. What's going on in the schools? So the community walks and talks are great. Dr. Tu had a back to school town hall on September 1st. Again, to reacclimate herself with the community, to say what the vision, what they plan to do for high schools this school year. Finally, Queens High School Presidents Council had their meeting last Monday, and we went over expedited elections this fall. So we know that not all our high schools are have their position fills or had their elections. So we went over how to conduct expedited elections. We also went over the school leadership team, why it's important. Again, if there's vacancies, why and the importance that needs to be filled. Tied the two together, the associations, the PTA president, PA PTA president is a core member of the school leadership team. So you have to have these in place. Then we went into Title I, remind high schools that districts is not 3K to 8, districts are 3K to 12. So Title I schools must attend the DPAC meetings, monthly meetings, and also get their position in place if they didn't have elections in June. If they needed to have elections, to make sure they have their mandatory chair and alternate chair in place. Also about the annual Title I meeting, and then we rounded off about school safety, the PAPTA presidents, to remind them that they are part of the school safety meeting each month of their school. And our next meeting is October 12th, which we're going to have elections of non-mandatory positions. And that's in my report.
Thank you. So I know, Francis, that I had announced tonight's meeting, but does President's Council have any other announcements? I don't know if she's still there. Or Jahara, do you have any other announcements for President's Council?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, thank you. How about, are there any other members that have any announcements? UFT, CSA, DC 37, CEC?
May I be brief in
Sure.
a request? So CEC's back, and we are now in person because we are subject to the open meetings law. The rules provide that we must have quorum present to do anything in terms of making a resolution or voting on anything. And unfortunately, we don't have enough members. We are down 2 of our BP appointees. The borough president has not appointed to our district for some reason, and we're down 1 member that we can vote to come on. So we are asking the community if there's anyone who's interested in joining the CEC, that they submit an application so we can hopefully get on and conduct our business.
Yep. And Shirley, I don't know if you can help us. We've been desperately looking for a student member as well. We've reached out to all of our high schools. So if at your next President's Council meeting, if you can announce that District 25 is looking for a student member, as you know, it's a senior. They ask for the person who is president of student council, but if not, anyone who takes on a senior leadership role in the district. So we will continue to inquire on our end, but if you know any students who live in District 25 who are interested in that role, we can send them an application.
I would gonna ask you what I usually do, because usually if you have a flyer, like when you send that email out that there's a vacancy,
Yep.
send it to me and I'll email it out. I will mention it at
Perfect.
the meeting, but I will also email it out. And specify this one is for District 25. CEC needs a student, and then I will inquire,
Okay.
internally as well.
Perfect.
Thank you both.
And yep. And for anyone who's interested in the borough president position, we can also, they're also additionally, Joe, if I'm correct, asking for more applications. And could they get them from Carly in your office?
Absolutely. So,
Okay.
yes, yeah, I'm told by the borough president's office, they don't have any applications in, which is strange, but we'll look into it, and we appreciate if anyone here knows anyone in the community that would like to come on either as a BP representative or even CEC can vote them on.
Yep. Okay, Lamar, I see you just turned your screen on, so welcome.
Yes, hi. How you doing? Morning, everybody. I do have an announcement, a little lighthearted, but I want to introduce you to a new member to our District 25 world. You'll probably be seeing him a little bit in our DLTs. This is all right, but there's a story behind this little fella. Okay, so there's a story behind this fella. So
Okay.
I don't know if you all know Andy Young over at PS 244. Andy's
Yes.
a pre-K teacher, right? All right. So during the pandemic, he got into this thing about making puppets for his pre-K classes. So for those of you, the pre-K is only on for 15 minutes a day or whatever in different spurts, whatever the time frame was. But the idea was make puppets of different people in your school community. So the principal had a puppet. He made one about the principal. He made one about the assistant principal. He made one of the safety agent. He made one of the custodian, et cetera, et cetera.
School food. Yeah.
And they all had roles online teaching kids, the pre-Kers, how to button a shirt, how to open up your milk, how to eat your cereal, just things like that, so that when the opportunity came to come back into the schools, they would know different faces and associate the faces with the puppets, right? So in my joking nature, I just said, oh, they should have one for the staff, and this is my fella here. But this is really me
It
giving,
looks like you.
Isn't it?
It looks
it's
like
crazy.
you.
I was
great.
laughing for 15 minutes, first of all. Look, he's got
That's
a little
great.
eye like me. So I wanted to take an opportunity just to give Andy and the staff at 244 their flowers now, right? And this is really kind of the acknowledgement or an indication of just what we have in our district and, the staff members and the dedication we have to education here. So, it's funny to have, but, for somebody to think that far ahead and say, what do I need to do to get 4-year-olds acclimated into a school community? It's pretty brilliant. It's pretty genius if you think about it. So that's it. I just wanted to share that. So I'm going in, I'm at 250 now, okay? I'm debating whether or not to bring this in. I don't know.
You should. And I'm sure 201 will love it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 201 will love it
thinking,
too.
I'm thinking about it. I don't, make a tour of my puppet. And I don't know. I got to find some ideas with this fella.
Yes,
so
I'm telling you, they will.
Let DLT know, we've got some really good folks in our district. So these are the wonderful things that the folks in our district do, So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Lamar. And Teresa's seeing that now, and she's going to want a puppet. I see it already. Teresa wants a puppet. I know. Lamar, can you also reach out to high school UFT again?
Yes. Okay.
Right, because we still need their seat on DLT.
After here, I've got a couple more visits that then I'm going to the office. I'll tell them. No problem.
Okay, perfect. So any other announcements? Okay, so
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have a comment. Um, I'm going back to the open meeting law. Now, SOTs are subject to open meeting law, and we've been begging DOE to come get guidance for school leadership team. They gave guidance for CECs, but I've been encouraging everyone to update their bylaws to include the hybrid piece into the bylaws. If as soon as they have everybody have quorum in person to conduct, conduct business, official meeting. Also, it got extended to to the 23rd as well. Just in case anybody wants to squeeze in a virtual meeting, it got extended to the 23rd.
Yeah, when did that happen? Because they made District 25 CEC had to be live. So when did they extend it?
I think I didn't get notification until like Friday morning.
Yeah. And our meeting was Wednesday, so they had us have the meeting and then they extended it. But I did take your advice, Shirley, and that is what we told all of our principals just in terms of engaging with their chair people to not only redo the bylaws, but really talk about, because I'm not sure, and that's the guidance that you're pushing for. CECs have to have 6 for quorum. In terms of it being live, a live meeting. So like, even if you are hybrid, you need 6 for quorum. What FACE had told our district leadership coordinators was to reduce the number of live quorum that's available in SLT. So we said to start working on making those adjustments to your bylaws, and then you could always play with that number of what quorum is until we get further guidance. I don't know if you've heard anything different.
Well, I don't think it should be less than between hybrid meeting and versus what quorum, your bylaws dictates what quorum is, right? To do official business. Probably some is going to keep that number that has to be in person to have quorum, to have officially a quorum. But I agree with the other one. To have quorum, if you need, you could reduce the number. But I think it's easier for the school leadership team, because most of the people who are on that team are already in the building.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
So it more affects the parents, the family side.
Yep.
And if they're not vaccinated, that's why it's very important to have that hybrid piece in the bylaws. But yes, I was thinking about that. You only have to have this person in person, this number in person to have quorum, but you have to have, the regular number in total to have quorum. That is a good suggestion. But it depends on how large your team is, right? Because quorum is going to differ from school to school, right?
Yep.
Right now, the minimum team members is 10, the maximum is 17. So it's going to vary from school to school. I like that, to have those discussions. That's the whole important. What is best for each school leadership team. But yes, if it's easier to reduce the number that has to be in person, but this is the total quorum, that's probably the best way to go. But I think most people probably like whatever's in person, like what considers quorum, that's what we have to have in person. Yeah, I think some have 6, 5, so that's more attainable versus.
Yep. Well, thank you for that, because based on what you said at our last meeting, I did make that recommendation to principals for SLTs, because they should start looking at their bylaws. So we're on our way with that, thankfully. Okay, anyone else? Joe, I saw that you put your camera on. Did you want to comment?
No, I was just agreeing with what you were saying, because we had our meeting and then they extended the the extension. But what was important is we unfortunately did not vote on having video conferences. We did not put it in our bylaws. So that's something very important that the SLTs should do, if they have this extension to the 23rd, because now for us to amend our bylaws, we have to have in person and, do it in person. So if you have an extension till the 23rd or whatever date you have it, it's important to amend your bylaws before then. And to get that, get that out to the community.
Yep. Okay. Any new business? All right. I think we're ending before 11 as long as everyone's in agreement. Yes. So over the next month, our next meeting is, let me just pop my calendar up. Our October 17th at 9 o'clock. So I will be emailing you all of the documents from our last training that we did. And always anyone on the team, if they would like to take a particular part, Matt, I'm going to speak to Gus about, the work that he's helped us with. So that's it. So then when we come back on the 17th, we're really going to create the agenda for the training. I'll have met with Bill and the principal so we can talk. I'll be able to speak a little bit about what that day will look like, time frame and whatever, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay. Marcia, good to see you. I know, how many districts you have now, did you say 20?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I know. I mean, you're running all DC 37.
Oh my goodness.
Marcia, just so you know, I had my listening and learning tool. I'm going to communicate it. For DC 37 is you know what? I'll send it to you. Unless,
Yeah.
Louis, if you're still on, you see it. I think it was, I have to check the dates, but I'll send it out. And it's just for, I'm doing a teacher time with just teachers. I'm doing DC 37. So guidance counselors we're doing, just to kind of hear the different perspectives. So I'll send you the date.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay. All right.
Hi,
Thank you.
sorry.
Oh, yep.
The DC 37 listening and learning tour is September 28th. So next
Okay.
Wednesday.
Perfect. So we'll be sending that out, Marcia. I'll be sure to include you on there, just so you know. I mean, you can pop in if you'd like. If you're crazy, it'll be recorded, so you'll have an opportunity to see it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And if you have time to pop into any of my listening learning tours, everyone's welcome.
Have a good day, everyone.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.